Race court cases in U.S. history. There is no winner or loser in court, but an opinion in whether it suppresses people or not, it is still a decision made. Court cases about race has always challenged the idea of race and how it is understood. It can be used to confront the inequalities in the legal system and help advance civil rights. These examples of court cases can help American society improve their view on race. Taylor Strader was an African-American man living in West Virginia when he was convicted of murder by an all-white jury. Strader's argument was that facts alleged in his case do not rise to murder in the first degree, and the panel from which the grand jury was selected excluded non-whites. West Virginia's argument was that limiting jury service to white men was constitutional and not a violation of the 14th Amendment. The final opinion was that limiting jury service to white men was unconstitutional. Strader versus West Virginia's effect on society was that it became the earliest and most significant applications of the 14th Amendment to use racial discrimination. There was not much of a major change because many southern states still use informal methods to exclude black people from juries. Berea College is a co-educational interracial college in the South. During this time, the Day Law was presented and Kentucky was enacted to inhibit private educational institutes from teaching white and black students together. Berea decided to challenge the Day Law, and its argument was that it violated the 14th Amendment and that the state was interfering with the private institutions' practices. Kentucky's argument was that the state had a right to regulate institutions within its boundaries and that the Day Law was designed to enforce the separation of black and white students in both public and private schools. The final opinion was that the court ruled that they can decide to segregate the integrated college and restrict the contractual liberties of corporations. Its effect on society was that it allowed states, not only Kentucky, to enforce racial segregation in educational institutions. It was a major change in society because it reversed progress in racial integration. Minoru Yasui was a Japanese-American attorney during World War II that violated a military curfew. His case tested the constitutionality of the curfew, of which was based on military necessity. Yasui's argument was that the curfew violated his Fifth Amendment and was unconstitutional and discriminatory. The United States believed that Japanese Americans were more susceptible to be influenced by Japan. They also believed that there was not enough time to separate loyal and disloyal Japanese American citizens. The Supreme Court found the curfew constitutional regardless of citizenship. People recognized the wrong in the reinforcement of racial discrimination in the guise of military necessity. This case was major to society because they deemed it and recognized it as an injustice. Fred Korematsu, a Japanese-American man, defied the Executive Order 9066 that led to the forced removal and confinement of over 120,000 Japanese Americans. His argument was that he believed it violated his constitutional rights. The United States argued that the exclusion and detention of Japanese Americans was a military necessity to prevent espionage and sabotage. The Supreme Court ruled that the exclusion was justified by military necessity. Its effect on society was that it highlighted the case as an example of tension between national security and civil liberties during wartime. It was a major change because it became a symbol of racial discrimination and government overreach. Brown versus Board of Education involves 5 different lawsuits about segregated education from different states. Brown's argument was that segregation violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and that racial segregation in schools gives psychological harm to black children, making them feel more inferior. The Board of Education's argument was that the laws did not discriminate since it affected both white and non-white children, and claimed that the segregation was an established tradition. The final opinion was that they declared that the separate but equal doctrine was unconstitutional. Its effect on society was that it became a defining moment in U.S. history and is still celebrated. It was a major change because it segregated schools in the United States. It unsegregated schools in the United States. The Lovings were an interracial couple. Richard and Mildred Loving was married in Washington, D.C., where interracial marriage was legal. When they went home, they were arrested for violating Virginia's interracial marriage. Back when they went home, they were ordered to serve prison time or leave the state for 25 years. The Lovings argued that Virginia's miscegenation laws violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and violated the Due Process Clause. Virginia's argument was that the laws did not discriminate because white and non-white people were both punished. The final opinion was that ban on interracial marriage violated the Equal Protection Clause and Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Its effect on society was that interracial couples can now marry everywhere and would lead the United States into a brighter future of stopping racial intended laws. It was a major change, and it is even celebrated every June 12th, called Loving Day. Appendix, notes. Thank you for listening.